Your problems are not as big as you think they are. And this is the case for most people. There are some people in this world that are actually going through some irreversible changes. And I seen I seen somewhere one time that the best problem that you can have is a financial problem. Having money issues is the best problem because you can always make more money. When you get to a certain level of debt, or you get to a certain level in your business or in your job or in your life where you're not making enough money, there's a million different things that you can do. You can work harder, you can be creative, you can get a new job, you can manifest more money, you can do many different things. But when you're in a situation where you know someone who has ill health, or you yourself has been compromised on a health level, or you have a death of a loved one, or maybe someone's facing life in jail, these are things that cannot be reversed sometimes. And for these situations, these are actual problems that people face. Having a money issue, like your $500 issue, your $1,000 issue, is not that big of a deal for most people. For some people, it might be, because you might need that $500 for your health or something of whatever. But for the average person that's not going through anything or any loss of a loved one, and they're in perfect health, and they're not facing life in prison or something just catastrophic to that level, what is your issue? You got to work harder, or you didn't figure something out yet? And then you might still think you have the luxury to just sit around and wait for something to happen to you and complain about the position that you are in your life. You might blame your parents. That's what everyone does, right? Everybody wants to blame their parents. You know how many people that I met in my life that blame their parents? There's a quote that I learned a long time ago that I just lived by since I was a young kid. And I think I lived by it before I even heard it, because it's just something that resonated with me. I never had the mentality of just blaming my parents, and everybody different. I'm not judging no one, because everybody got different starting points, but it comes to a point where when you're an adult, you got to get past that. And this is the quote. The quote is, "You're not responsible for the situation that you're born into, but it's your responsibility to change it." It's not your fault, the situation that you're born into, but it's your responsibility to change it. That is a perspective of even looking at that, because from my perspective, I believe that we all chose our lives. I believe that we incarnated down here, we chose our parents, so we already knew what was going to happen. That to me is something that always resonated with me, and it allows me to give that certain connectedness between my own intentions and actions. Like, yeah, I chose this, so of course I can, what is the reason why I'm here? I let me try to figure that out, rather than thinking, why was I born? Do you understand how much of a victim mentality that is? To understand, oh, why was I born into this situation? Why did my parents treat me like this? If you're a grown adult, especially a grown man, but just a grown, even a woman too, but especially a man, and you're trying to just figure out why all of these things happened to you when you were a kid from your parents, and don't get me wrong, like, I understand people go through some very traumatic experiences, but someone went through it way worse than you. And I know this isn't always the simple solution, but you have to find what that solution is for you to be able to get over your own trauma, because people aren't going to always apologize to you. People aren't always going to come to you and tell you the exact thing that you need to hear. And then by the time when it might be too late. And that's the sad reality of it. You can't spend your time living in the things that, or not even trying to find a solution, and not trying to step into your power of the whole situation of what you can be able to control. There's certain things in this world that we can't control, and there's certain things that we can. If you don't even take control of what's in the realm of your control, then you losing the battle, because 50% of it is just things that just may be happening. You can't control the weather. You can't, if you're really rich, you could fly to another place, but You feel me? You can't always control how people are going to perceive you. You can't always control how even situations happen to you. Like, yeah, we talk about manifestation, and there's a certain level of like manipulation or, influence you can have over your reality. But at the end of the day, it's really up to the universe. You put your intentions out there, you put your thoughts and your actions, but whatever comes back, I mean, there's a higher power that's really deciding these things to a certain level, a higher orchestrated system. And you have to, you got to get over some of the things that is no longer happening, because these are the things that's holding you back. You're going to let something that happened to you 15 years ago, still affect you? Like, and not in a way where, let me not say that. It can still affect you, but are you doing something on a day-to-day basis to make sure that you can take those small steps for it not to affect you? Are you maybe going through therapy? Do you have certain meditations that you do on a daily basis to be able to just open up space in your mind and to really heal your brain, the chemistry of your brain, and to be able to just heal your endocrine system, to produce certain chemicals to where you can feel good naturally without having to smoke weed or drink alcohol or have certain vices? Are you aware of that? And yeah, this is something that I've heard so many people say the same story of, their parents. Heard so many people say the same story of money. There was a time in my life where the biggest problem that I had was $1,000. I needed to buy a car. I was going to buy a car for $1,000, and I was out doing DoorDash every day on my bike trying to make $100 a day so I could make $1,000 in 10 days. This was the hardest $1,000 I ever had to make in my life. It took me months to make this because things would just keep coming up. Things would just keep happening. But looking back at it, if I know what I know now about just money and credit and, certain things, like, I really wouldn't even have to go through that. That problem was so small. And I always think about that. I always think about how, like, I imagine the problems that I may face now, imagine how small they will be in comparison to the future version of myself who's mastered that. So the quicker you evolve and the quicker you learn, the more you understand that problems are just small and they just don't even become problems after a certain time. You just understand it's just life and you work with it, and problems just become just whatever. They just become something that just has to be fixed rather than something that's holding you back. And yeah, man, it's not as, I think people live in an illusion. They think that their unique problems is the worst thing. They think that what they're going through is worse than what everybody else is going through. Like, everyone's going through something. It's just how you deal with it. There might be somebody going through something 10 times worse than you, and you wouldn't even know because they just dealt with it in a certain way. And I'm not saying like, okay, everybody got different levels of strength, but it's like, don't go around complaining and dumping your problems on the other people when you don't even know what that person is going through. They might be going through something else that they don't even want to tell you about because they don't want to affect you, and you're over there, being selfish. And I get it, like, you might want help, you might be reaching out, but it's like, it comes a certain time where I just stopped talking to people. I stopped talking to people over the course of years that call all the time with problems, when it's like, I could give you the solutions. I'm here to like hear you out. But if I talk to you and then a year later you're telling me the same things that I gave you the solution or my perspective, and you didn't even make a certain intention to become better, then it's like, why? This is always going to be your problem. You're not moving forward. Of course you're going to experience this. Of course you're going to experience the same thing you told me about last time, because you didn't do anything to change it. You didn't change your mentality. You didn't remove certain people out of your life. You didn't change maybe your diet, or maybe you didn't add anything into your life that you needed to. Of course these things are going to happen to you. I don't feel bad. I don't feel bad for people that go through stuff, because I've always went through stuff. And this is a certain level of like empathy that I'm not able to have for most people. I can empathize with certain things, and for certain things I could really feel someone, and I am like naturally just an empath, so I can feel someone's emotions when they're going through it if they're like in a close proximity to me. But as far as like resonating with it logically, it's just like, I don't really have like empathy all the way for certain situations where it's just like, this is a simple thing. You just got to learn. Like, there's nothing else that you can tell someone after a certain point. Rather, it gets to the point where they just have to do the work. Like, you just got to wake up every day and put in the work and take a step forward. Like, what are you doing? Like I said, are you in therapy? Like, are you doing something? Like, are you doing yoga? Are you trying to drink a tea? Are you reading books? Are you, maybe you're researching on a spiritual level, a spiritual aspect of it. You're digging back into your past and seeing certain things that you did, certain things that was done to you, and learning how you can heal from it. Like, there's so many different things for every situation that you just got to do something. And even when you do something, it might take a long period of time, but as long as you're moving forward, that's the thing that matters the most. But yeah, for everybody watching this right now, if money is your biggest problem, then consider yourself lucky, because for some people, their problems are way worse than that.